Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Brand Disruptors. I am Mia Lamont, your host, and today I'm here with my friend Tami Jaffe. And Tami, why don't you tell the guests a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am a business success coach and career transition coach. So I help people who are going from corporate or from their job to figuring out their business. So I spent 20 years in leadership in corporate and decided it was time for a change. So hopefully many of you can relate to that. It's wanting to get out, inspire more people, help more people get their businesses started in the right way.
So you actually went through this transition yourself.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And being when you hit that point in your career, you hit that plateau or you hit the glass window above, ceiling above you, or you just get so frustrated with what's going on in your career or what's happening. It's time to take that step back and look at what is happening for you. Where do you want to go from here, and figure out what that next step is for you.
Awesome. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to ask you like 5 questions, 6 questions to kind of let the audience get to know you, and then we'll kind of dive deep into your disruption that led you to where you are today. Okay? All right. So the first question is, what is your mantra?
My mantra. So I have a few that I kind of rotate through. But right now I have that comes up in my phone every day and says, let me read it because I will.
Yeah, because I'll mess it up. Let me get it good.
No, well, when you get, I have a couple that come up, but it says, I expand in abundant success and love every day as I inspire those around me to do the same.
Ooh, I love that. Love that. All right. What 3 words would you use to describe yourself or your brand if you see them differently?
3 words to describe them. My word I always use is inspired. So
Hmm.
I always say I am blessed
Okay.
because I feel like I have a very blessed life. And the third word would be challenge. I always need a new challenge.
Oh, I love that. So you like adventure too.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. What is your least favorite mode of communication?
Least favorite mode. Probably mail. I don't know.
Really? You don't like to get mail?
I don't. It sits on my desk forever. I don't open it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. Sanford never checks the mail.
Yeah.
Like, never. Okay. What outfit makes you feel like a total badass?
Ooh. Just have to say, like, a good power suit, like jacket, not suit, but like a good power jacket.
Okay. And then what would we never catch you wearing? Like, what would you never wear?
Oh, a bikini right now. Ah.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, so what are your brand colors and how did you choose them?
So my brand colors, I have a cobalt blue,
Hmm.
and then I don't even know what you call it. It's kind of like a between a green and bluish, like
A
sea
teal,
oh, yeah,
like a
it's a little
teal,
bit like teal, but it's like not exactly the teal. Well, here
aquamarine.
you can see this is kind of my color on there on my book.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, so and then I throw in some grays and yellows here and there with different things I do. Those are my main colors that I use.
Hmm.
And I chose those when I was first getting started many years ago because one, I liked the blue, like I love that, cobalt blue color just stands out. And I wanted something a little bit softer as well. And so I went with the other color because it was a little bit softer.
Yeah, I mean, we can see the blue like all behind you, right?
Yeah. All different shades of blue.
Yeah, it's all in your office.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so you showed us your book. So tell us about this whole book and this whole book writing process and what made you decide that you wanted to do this?
Yeah. So I was not one who said I wanted to write a book. So it was all surprise for me and everyone around me. I was I actually had joined a speakers group and I love speaking. I want to do more speaking. And so I joined the Speak Mastermind. And as part of it, it was writing a book this year. And so it was an incredible process. I learned so much and it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, but I procrastinated as long as I could before I wrote it. But the book is called You Already Made the Decision, You're Just Not Happy with It. And it is a guide on how to make better decisions or live with the ones you've made.
Oh, so good. So this is perfect for the people who are your actual clients because whether they decide to stay in a job or if they want to make, a new career, you can help them with that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I talk a little bit about my journey from going from corporate to starting a business in the book, but it's not just about that. It's about, major changes that you want to make in your life and how do you make that lasting change. So there's tips on like how to make quick decisions. And then there's, how do you go through those big transitions and what's the formula you need to make it successful?
Yeah, yeah. So okay, so that's really good and a great segue for what I'm about to ask you. Like, when have you had a disruption in your life? Either one that you created or one that just kind of like happened to you, and then how did you come out on the other side of it?
Yeah, I think the one that and I talk about this a little bit in my book, it was kind of my, you know, a little bit of a wake up call. It was, the ugly truth that I talk about when I was, I had a really good career in corporate. I had moved up and thought I was moving up more, and we were about to go through another reorganization. And I was in middle management at the time, and they came to me and said, we want you to take on an expanded role. I was really excited about it. And we were having discussions about how to move different teams and where people were going to go. And during that time, I got pregnant. And the discussions went on for a very long time because there was many groups involved in this. And, days led to weeks and months. And I hit my 12-week mark and I thought, well, I need to go tell them I'm pregnant. And so I went in and told, I had two managers at the time. And I went in and told them that I was pregnant. And from that moment on, everything went silent about the reorg. And
What?
it was, at first I thought, okay, they're just, going through approval processes or, and I asked questions about it, that was the excuse they gave me. We're
Yeah.
just, trying to get the approvals and things like that. And for weeks, I didn't hear anything. And all of a sudden one day I get a phone call from my direct manager who really didn't know anything about what I do. I had a functional manager and a direct manager, and we very rarely met. It was more of a formality thing.
Right.
And he calls me up and he says, come to my office. I want to talk to you. So I was like, okay, first of all, we never talk. So I walk
That's
into
the
his,
trouble.
yeah, I walk into his office and sitting there is my other manager who we never talk, the three of us together. So I'm like, okay, great. Something is up. And I sit down and they proceed to tell me that not only was I not getting the expanded role, but that they were taking away all my current direct reports, moving me to a different manager, and I was still going to be responsible for all the things that I already had on my plate and the people, but they weren't going to be directly reporting to me. And I was so frustrated. I was sitting there and, you know, I was like shaking. I didn't even know what to say. And then they told me some things about people who worked for me that they were going to move them into positions that I knew weren't fitted for them. Like I knew they didn't want those types of positions. And I just started to shake and I could barely speak without my voice like shaking. And I finally looked at them and said, you know what? I need to leave right now before I'm going to say something that I'm going to regret. And they just kind of looked at me because I was not one that would say something like that. And I got up and walked out of the room and went to my office. I shut the door. And for the first time ever in my career, I cried.
Yeah.
And I just sat there and I didn't know what to think. I'm like, 3 weeks ago, you told me I was getting this expanded role. Now you're telling me not only am I not getting that, but you're taking all of my current direct reports away. And I had to pull myself together. And I need to find out why. Why is this happening? And I called them back and I said, I want to ask you a few more questions. And so we got back together and I went in and I said, why? Why is this happening? Because I had good relationships with both of them.
Yeah.
And they looked at me and what they said hit me even harder than what they had told me before. And they said, Tammy, this isn't what we think you deserve, but it was out of our hands.
Mm.
And it was in that moment that I realized that not only did I not have control of my career, neither did my managers.
Yeah.
And somebody else was pulling the strings and deciding what was going to happen to me, to the people who worked for me. And it was that moment that made me realize I didn't want to spend the rest of my life working for someone else where they could pull the strings anytime they wanted to.
Yeah.
And that's what has started my journey of figuring out what was next.
Hmm. And so I guess that, because of your experience, is that why you decided to work with people who are in transition?
It is. I first started off working with, people in leadership because I had so much experience with leadership. And I saw, like, in that moment, I'm like, I don't ever want to treat someone like that. And I don't want other leaders to. And so I
Yeah.
got very passionate about leadership.
Yeah.
And I had been through many career transitions. And before I started coaching at that point, from the story I told you, I also made one more transition first. And I was in accounting and finance at the time, and I moved from there to technology. And I became the head of real estate technology for the third largest real estate investment company in the world. And just making a move from one area to another, I was able to increase my salary by 30% overnight. And so I knew a lot about being able to take the skills that you have and use them in a new way
Hmm.
to not have to start over
Yeah.
and be able to showcase what you can do. And so I worked with people in that career transition that wanted to make a transition. And as I kind of moved through the first few years, I started having people come to me and say, "How did you go from being a VP to starting your own business?"
Right.
And I had learned so much along the way, as I know you have too, Mia. Like, there's so many things you've got to make sure you're doing the right things at the right time, because otherwise you waste so much time and money. And that's when I started to become so passionate about helping people make that transition, helping people start their businesses, helping people figure out what's even next for them. Because I think so many people spend so much time in that moment where they're like, what do I even do? And
Right.
the sooner you can get through that, the sooner you can move on and figure out what's next for you.
They say stuck in the indecision, right?
Yes.
And
Yep.
that's probably one of the most painful places to be, like being in limbo and not being able to decide where you want to go.
For sure, because I mean, and it feels like you're in it forever, no matter how long you're in it.
Yes.
When you're in that moment, it feels like forever.
Hmm.
And when you get through it, and then you look back a year, you're like, "Oh, that was no time at all." But being in it is like so excruciating, and it feels so difficult to even figure out where do you go from there.
Yeah. So how do you typically work with your clients?
Yeah, so I have a couple. Well, I'll tell you about the exciting retreat coming up because I know
Yes, tell me about that since I do know a little bit about what's
you
happening.
know a little bit about it because you are going to be there and
Yes.
speaking to our amazing guests. So we have a retreat coming up called the Inspired Possibilities Retreat.
Hmm.
And that is one way I love, love, love doing retreats. This one will be virtual, but we are going to have we have so many things planned. Me and I are keeping some secrets because there are so many fun things planned. And my office is filled with like gifts that we are sending out next week for all of our guests. It's so fun. We have a VIP gift bag that will be going out with lots and lots of goodies. But the Inspire Possibilities Retreat is really about that, like helping you break through what is holding you back so that you can step out and do what you really want to do. And we'll be kind of going through that process of breaking things down, what's holding you back, getting you the tools that you need to move through those, and then setting your plan for how do you go through that. And it's going to be an amazing 2 days with lots of fun transformation, rejuvenation, lots of little things we have planned. So that's one way.
That's awesome. So this is really exciting. So for the people who want to attend the retreat, what do they need to do? What's the website? How do they sign up? And we're gonna
Yep.
put this in the show notes.
Okay. It's the inspired, if you just go to inspiredpossibilitiesretreat.com,
Hmm.
that is the link to tell you all about the retreat and everything, or you can just go to my website and it's on the top of that, which is tamijaffe.com.
Awesome. So besides the retreat, because I think that you love doing those retreats, and it's like the retreats are for us too, right? We get to we have to work really hard to have them happen,
Yeah,
but there's so much joy in seeing people make those transformations in a really short amount of time, right?
it is for sure. Yes.
Yeah. So what else? How else do you work with folks?
Yeah. Besides the retreats, I work with people one on one to help
Hmm.
you really figure that out. help you figure out those next steps. I also have a couple other programs. I have an online program that's the Inspired Career Change course where people can kind of it helps them to really brainstorm about what they could do next, what those possibilities are, and where they could go from there. And I do a lot of workshops and masterminds as well. And I won't go into all of them now, but if you want to know more, you can always go to chatwithtami.com and we can talk more about those as well.
So awesome. All right. So tell me, what is the thing that you do differently from other career transition coaches?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that I would say is very different from most career transition coaches is that I do energy work. So I have been trained in different forms of energy work, and it's something that I do that helps break those patterns and those blocks that are holding people back and have incredible results. Things where people within weeks are making thousands of dollars when they've just been struggling at their business for years, and other people who just wake up the next morning with complete clarity. Actually had a client just last week after we did one of her sessions. She messaged me and she's like, I have so much more sexual energy. It's like, wow, added bonus.
Yay!
So you
Hello.
never know what can come out of this. But that's one of the things that I think sets me apart, as well as just I've been through I've been through those career transitions. I've been through those challenges, and I know how difficult it can be when you get to different phases. And I love to talk strategy and figuring out what you should be doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So, what are three things that you would say to somebody who is on the struggle bus, on the fence, like they're in that indecision about like, what am I going to do next? What are three things that you would say to them?
One, go get my book.
All right. Awesome. Yes. Go get
Talk
her
about how
book.
to get out of indecision and what to do there. No, but seriously, so three things that you can do. One is ask yourself what would be possible. What would be possible for me if I got out of indecision and
Mhm.
see what comes up. Because so many times we're just blocking what could even be possible. We say no to so many options before they're even a possibility. So open yourself up, ask what could be possible. If you're in indecision, seek out the questions you need answered. So if you don't know what is next, then find someone who can help you figure out the answers to what's next. If you don't know what the best strategy is, if you don't know what to wear, talk to Mia. You don't know, there's so many questions we all have, that are holding you back in different ways and you're in that indecision. So find someone that you can count on to help push you through, someone who has been there, whatever your circumstances are for that indecision. So those would be my little tips.
Yeah. So, you did mention your book. So, why don't you tell us the title of the book again? And we're going to put this in the show notes too. And do we go to your website to get it, or is it on Amazon? Like, how do we get your book?
You can go to my website and get it. It will be on Amazon. It's not there yet. We
Okay.
just literally got the first proof and we'll
Well,
be
I
getting
knew
it
you
up.
were just finishing it up, so I didn't
Yeah.
know. Yeah. So we
Um,
can get on the website.
so you can get it off the website, tamijaffe.com. And it's called You Already Made the Decision, You're Just Not Happy with It.
Awesome. Okay. Anything else? Any other ways that we can contact you, or anything else you want the audience to know?
Well, I think I've given you all my content. You can get everything off my website, so you can go there for anything you need. And I just want to let you know that wherever you are, wherever you want to go, there is a possibility, there is a choice that you can make. And every day you can wake up and make a new decision. So just because you are where you are right now, because of every decision you've made, it's time to make a new decision and think about what that new decision is you need to make for yourself.
Awesome advice. Thank you so much, Tammy, for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mia, for having me.
Yes, on our Friday afternoon, we're spending it together. But thanks so much. And guys, if you want to get in touch with Tammy, all of her information will be in the show notes. And like, be inspired. What are some really good questions that you can start asking yourself that so you can be inspired? Right, Tammy?
Absolutely.
Thanks so much. We'll see you guys next time.